Timms.
Thank you very much, Sir George. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I do want to congratulate my honourable friend on securing this debate and the very compelling case he made in opening it. And I'm pleased as well to follow the honourable member for Stroud and agree with a great deal of what she said. My honourable friend set out the changes which are proposed. The Prime Minister argued, when we started talking about all this, that anyone bringing dependents to the UK must be able to support them financially, and we understand that point. But the changes that have been announced are going to take the minimum income requirement far beyond the income of most UK employees. It appears to be an arbitrary set of numbers, and it's a disproportionate increase with very unfair and harmful effects. When the Home Secretary set out his plan, of which the minimum income threshold increased requirement was part, he said this was going to deliver the biggest ever reduction in net migration. 300,000 people, he said, who came to the UK last year would not be able to do so. But as we've been reminded, family visas only accounted for 5% of total entry visas between January and September last year. Family visas have not made up more than 10% of total entry visas for over a decade. And the government's own analysis suggests the increased minimum income requirement will cut migration by between 3 and 10% of the promised 300,000 reduction in migration, and that's almost certainly an overestimate. The truth is that increasing income thresholds on spousal visas will barely dent migration figures, and I think it is extraordinary that the government did not even consult the Migration Advisory Committee before announcing this change. So it's not going to make very much impact on migration. The government's own analysis confirms that, but it is going to cause great hardship for those affected. Thousands of people who will have to live without their partners, thousands of children living without a parent. And my honourable friend pointed out that the Migrant Integration Policy Index places us second from bottom out of 56 for ease of family reunion. The Justice and Home Affairs Committee in the other place pointed out in their 2023 report, All Families Matter, wider harm reducing cohesion across society. Parents forced into single parenthood have to reduce involvement in the wider community. Children separated from their parents by arbitrary rules they can't understand trust society less as a result. This is a spiteful change which will undermine cohesion in our society in the long term. And Conservative politicians very often recognise the damage caused by breaking up families, but here they are choosing to break them up quite deliberately. And all of us will suffer the downsides for society, which in other contexts, Conservative members will readily enumerate. But they're forcing those breakups by these changes that have been announced. My honourable friend pointed out that the Migration Observatory at Oxford University has shown that 70 to 74% of employees in the UK would not meet this £38,700 requirement. Now, the government surely isn't suggesting that only about a quarter of UK employees can support their dependents financially at the moment, but that appears to be the implication of the claims that they're making. And surely, again, as my honourable friend has suggested, a better standard, and there are various other standards that have been suggested in this debate, but surely a better one would be to ensure that anybody bringing dependents in the UK would have an income above the level at which they are ineligible for universal credit. That is a possible yardstick. Spain and the Netherlands, as we've heard, apply a standard along those lines, and it's certainly well below £38,700. So, Sir George, the increase in the minimum income requirement goes far beyond the level to deliver the government's stated aims for the threshold. It will reduce migration only minimally, but cause great hardship to thousands, and it will damage the fabric of our society. It will be ineffective, it will be unfair, and it will be harmful, and it should be scrapped.